Hi everybody, this is Agnes from Sediment, and today we're going to blind taste two Grand Marques, two grower champagnes to find out what really sets them apart in the glass. This has been a long-standing debate amongst wine lovers, Grand Marques or grower champagne. Just recently, fellow wine YouTuber Matthew Horkey asked me the same question.
Are you a Grand Marques girl? Or are you all in with the growers and all that trendy stuff these days? And why?
And while some people outright refuse to drink champagne from the big houses, I am one of those who believe that there is excellence and charm in both fronts. If I have said it once, I have said it 100 times. There is beauty in balance. A Grand Marque is essentially well-known, famous, grand champagne brand. For a brand to be that well-known, it needs to produce enough volume to reach consumers and champagne lovers worldwide. Now, while there was once an attempt to create an official organization or club of Grand Marques, I believe the term is still unregulated today. So Grand Marque is generally used to describe a large, well-known champagne house, one that in addition to owning its own vineyards, also buys grapes, juice, or wine from farmers to meet the world's need for their champagne. And while some people swear off all champagne houses, I invite you to think of names such as Bollinger, Louis Roederer, Charles Heidsieck, and Krug. These are all Grand Marques and offer epic quality. Personally, I would never say no to a glass or two if offered. Grower champagnes, or as we sometimes call them in my language, zemnieku šampanieši, which literally means farmer champagne, have always existed. Therefore, I do not want to call it a trend, but rather a beautiful direction which really gained momentum in 1990s, making the wine world that much more exciting for us wine lovers. Trends come and go, but love for grower champagnes is here to stay. Now, because these might not be such well-known names, you might spot small letters on the label RM, which stands for Récoltant Manipulant, meaning they own the land, grow their own grapes, and make the champagne themselves. For me, one of the biggest differences between these two directions of champagne is not necessarily the fact that one buys grapes while other farms them. Grand Marques are often deeply involved in the vineyard management, even if they do not own them. And in many cases, they have been working with the same growers for decades under long-term leases. At the same time, I have seen growers starting to buy grapes from neighbors, friends, and family as they also struggle to meet the demand of the market. So the lines definitely start to blur. But the main difference I see, and even that is starting to blur, is the concept of house style of each Grand Marque, a specific stylistic consistency that certain houses are known for. Some are known for always making Pinot-dominant blends that are fuller and rounder in character. Others are recognized for purity and lightness of fruit. And regardless of the vintage, these houses deliver the same quality and style year after year. Growers, on the other hand, are usually celebrated for expressing the uniqueness of their terroir. Instead of house style, their champagnes are more closely linked with the land they come from. Chardonnay reflects Murphy, Paul Barras shows the beautiful expression of Bouzy, and Agrapart highlights the purity and freshness of Avise. And because they usually don't have capacity for impressive reserve wine cellars, there is greater variation between vintages. So to wrap up this introduction, I wanted to taste 4 champagnes and discuss their style, quality, and differences that lie behind their labels. We've got 2 Grand Marques and 2 grower champagnes here, all at a very similar price point, and all are their entry-level cuvées. Let's taste! As always, these wines were poured by my cameraman, so I don't know which one is which. And as always, we will start with wine number 1. What lovely, vivid floral nose. I really love the mousse here. It is so delicate, it is so creamy, but then again, these wines have been in the glass for a while now, me doing all the introduction beforehand. It offers really lively, beautiful orchard fruit profile here. Think of apples, think of ripe pear. You also have kind of orange blossom or cherry blossom elements. And all that is wrapped within beautiful notes of brioche and hints of fresh dough. That all comes from Lee's aging. I do enjoy the vivacity here, the liveliness, the crispiness of this wine. Of course, these are not champagnes of the greatest concentration, of greatest intensity, or greatest depth, but it does deliver that typicity of champagne, that liveliness of the fruit, and I will give this wine 91 points. Let's move to wine number 2. Okay, so here on the nose, we have slightly bruised apple, yellow apple style. It is not as floral as the wine number 1 was. Acidity in this wine seems more prominent, more focused if comparing to wine 1. Also, the bubbles seem more energetic, more present still in the glass. And while I am talking with you, this wine still shows quite long, maybe slightly dried lemon, lime, kind of yellow apple presence on the aftertaste. I think on the palate, if we are talking about the concentration and depth of flavors, this wine definitely shows a lot of that. On the nose, however, there's this bruised apple, kind of cut apple slices. It is very different stylistically from wine number 1. It gives me similar pleasure, but it is dressed in a completely different style. I will also give this wine 91 points. Let's move to wine number 3. You shy little wine. Okay, so wine 1 and wine 2 were more expressive on the nose, and this one kind of needs a conversation. It's hiding somewhere. But we do feel these delicate white blossom. We do feel fresh, crisp, yellow apple, pear, orange slices, orange blossom. Let's taste. What I really enjoyed here is when you look at the glass, you almost don't see the bubbles anymore because I've been talking so long now. And it seems still. When you sip the wine, you have this really beautiful kind of mousse, this creamy, pearly. It is more structure. Adding, it is more delicate. You know, sometimes they can be kicking in your palate, but here it is just beautifully integrated within the wine itself. And then you have quite expressive, really ripe orchard fruit. It is shyer on the nose, but on the palate, it reveals a lot. And interestingly enough, on the palate, you feel these floral elements. You feel chamomile, you feel acacia blossom. It is so unique in that way that on the nose, well, it is opening up a little bit. And the acidity, it is just, I didn't notice it until this very moment. It kind of was all the time there, but it revealed itself on the very end. Kind of, this is the freshness that I am. I will give this wine, I think it is a quiet beauty. I will give this wine 93 points. Let's move to wine number 4. Out of all 4 wines, wine number 4 on the nose shows the most brioche, freshly baked bread, or like a bread crust. It just seems really toasty. And by toasty, I mean not oak, but that toastiness that you get on the baguette. In the background, you have some of the florals, you have some of the orchard fruit, and they are all crushed and open and releasing their juices. They're not tight and crunchy yet, or not anymore. It keeps opening up. Okay, let's taste this wine. Out of all 4 wines, this wine has the most immediate appeal, if I could say so. If you allow me to feel more comfortable and speculate here, I would say that this also has one of the highest dosage. I think it is quite beautiful and well done introduction in champagne. But it could also be due to the fact that it is following wine number 3, which on the palate felt so focused, almost lean and laser sharp in a way, and maybe wine 4 therefore felt broader, opulent, and kind of bigger in the character. Bigger in the way that it just more appealing, you know. I will give this wine 90 points. So now we have come to the moment when we reveal the wines. Okay, let's move to wine number 1 that we tasted at the very beginning. I gave this wine 91 points. I came from the Cantor World Wine Awards and now I'm smarter. I know that 91 point means silver medal. Okay. It's Moet! All right. Wow.
Wow.
There is a reason why this estate, this champagne, this label is known worldwide, and they have an amazing team behind them. Would I have ever chosen this wine if I go to the restaurant? I guess I am a little bit of wine snob. I usually probably would not, but tasting this wine blind, there is no reason for me not to choose it. The bubbles were beautiful here. The fruit was lovely in here. It is not your most expressive or, you know, brioche-led champagne, but it definitely delivers the typicity of champagne. So thank you, Moet. I guess I will put this back on. Wine number 2, a bottle that I also gave 91 points, a bottle that has also received a silver medal. Is Pierre Peters. This is Blanc de Blanc. I told you that stylistically these wines are very, very different. Rudolf is the winemaker behind this label. He usually gives me a hard time due to the fact that my Instagram account is Blanc de Noir, and he says that the only correct champagne is Blanc de Blanc, and he represents it here. So every single of his labels is Blanc de Blanc, except for pink wine, except for the rosé, and he is the Chardonnay master. I love his champagnes, I enjoy them a lot, and they're definitely very difficult to source, and their quality remains super high no matter how difficult the vintage has been. Let's move to my highest scored wine. 93 points it was. Okay, so it fills my heart. I've been really in love with this producer for a long time. I enjoy their style a lot. It is Laherte Freres, and if you do not know this estate, please go and watch my podcast episode where I interviewed Aurélien Laherte.
Maybe to talk to give the answer, we could have the taste of
Yes,
this
always, yes.
bottle. Yeah, so like that you could understand, and for me also maybe give me too some inspiration.
He actually works with different kind of grape varieties, and he enjoys not only the traditional and most beautiful ones, as you sometimes, or we sometimes express, not only Chardonnay, not only Pinot Noir, but he has some amazing cuvées with Moet and some amazing cuvées with other lesser known, less discovered, less talked about grape varieties from Champagne region. So I'm so happy that I enjoyed this champagne so much. Now let's move to wine number 4, which I gave 90 points. That actually leaves it Grand Marques. Taittinger. I said that this wine had the most brioche, the most typical nose that you would expect from a champagne, indeed. And I wonder whether or not I scored it too harshly, because it just followed the Laherte Freres, which was so focused and had that really kind of high level mouth-watering acidity. And it's also extra brut, so maybe followed by a bit higher dosage, which I expected was here, felt a bit strange, but I am professional, I should have known better. So here you go, we have tasted 4 different champagnes, 2 growers, 2 Grand Marques, and I will say that the quality overall is really high amongst all of them. It is just the stylistic difference that changes here. And I think it is the question, 1, of availability, 2, the price, and the style that you prefer better. I mean, if you want a bit maybe rounder, you know, higher dosage character in your glass, you go for Grand Marques. If you want something that expresses their terroir better, if you want something that comes from smaller producer, maybe lower dosage, oftentimes higher, more brisk acidity, you go for growers. But that is a very simplistic way of looking at it at this very moment. In fact, there can be great differences amongst Grand Marques, these huge house styles, and there can be great differences amongst growers as well. And remember, within each of these estates or grower champagnes, you have your own hierarchy of the labels. You might have a single vintage label, you might have Cuvée Prestige here, and there the quality might differ, and the story might also differ. So I will come back to my original idea: enjoy and pour in your glass the wine that you love the most. The topic about big brands versus small family estates is really interesting, at least for me. So if you also like it, make sure to click on this video next.